All right, so we got the 1101 full summary here, finally going through the full chapter. Of course, a bunch more stuff to go over than what we were able to talk about earlier today. But also, I think that this is the last chapter in Kuma's flashback, or at least I'm pretty sure. And then after this, we might come back to Egghead finally. But also, I think we're getting more insight into Nika / Joy Boy than we've had since we actually saw his silhouette back in Wano when it was revealed by Who's Who. Because I think we're finding out like what race Joy Boy actually was. I actually talked about this in my last video, and I think what I talked about is being debunked. But let's start from the beginning here. So the chapter starts with a little flashback inside the flashback. We got some flashbackception here. Kuma remembered one of his trips with the Revolutionary Army in Goa Kingdom. Kuma mentioned that he noticed how dragons seemed to know a lot about the country. He said too that Dragon visited a village outside of the country to observe a certain boy. Dragon says, "Keep talking if you want to die." Kuma says, "Why?" Dragon says, "A child is the parent's weakness." Kuma said that he understands and that he won't look into that anymore. So this is picking up from the end of the previous chapter where we saw Kuma like docking off of Fuchsia Village. And of course at this time, which I think is like 4 years before the first and second chapter, Luffy was still there, like still training, waiting to become a pirate. But Kuma like got a call to like leave and go somewhere else. But now we see that Kuma for sure knows that Luffy is Dragon's son because a dragon was apparently going there from time to time and checking on Luffy, which we didn't know about. But it kind of makes sense because in the beginning of the series, you know, Dragon did help Luffy. But also him saying that it's a parent's weakness. I guess this could come into whatever philosophy that Dragon has adopted, which probably also led to his tattoo. It could be coming from like one of the Sky Island tribes, to be honest. There's not too much that goes into that, I'm just guessing. And maybe he thought that he could only fulfill his duty as like the revolutionary commander if he didn't have to worry about his son. Like he felt that Luffy would just be better off like doing what he was doing. Cut to the normal flashback where last chapter ended. Kuma entered at Mount Kalubo and observed Luffy. He was 16 years old. Luffy was practicing his secret attack, the Gum Gum Battle Axe, the same attack he used to defeat Arlong. Suddenly, Kuma got a call from the world government. Luffy heard the sound and sensed a chilling presence nearby, but when he looked up, Kuma was gone. And he says, there must be a really strong animal in the forest that I have yet to defeat. Kuma left Dawn Island to fulfill the world government's orders. We could see Kuma helping a merchant ship that was attacked by pirates and making them surrender. During the entire chapter, we have narrations from Kuma's letters to Bonnie. Letters talked about how Kuma loved Bonnie. He also explained to her that he saw so many beautiful and amazing islands where they will travel together in the future. However, cutting back to Sorbet Kingdom, we see that all of Kuma's letters were intercepted and destroyed by Alpha. Bonnie was waiting for Kuma's letters every day, but they never arrived. So yeah, this makes sense. Alpha, of course, is like the nurse in disguise who is just a CP8 agent planted there by the world government, or so I guess Saturn, to keep Bonnie in check. Bonnie never revealed her Toshi Toshi no Mi powers to Alpha and medical team. Connie instructed Bonnie to keep her powers in secret. And Connie says, a smart hawk must always hide its claws. And Kuma visited Vegapunk's laboratory, and we see him meeting Stussy's clone. Stussy's clone says, I wonder who is more unfortunate, a human with no consciousness or a clone with consciousness. And Vegapunk says, enough Stussy, I told you that you are a human. Vegapunk, that already had his apple head, explained that once the modification is completed, Kuma won't have any memories or emotions left. However, Vegapunk will keep Kuma's consciousness up until very last minute. 1 year remains until the surgery is completed. So yeah, coming back to Stussy, who is the clone of Miss Buckingham Stussy, it makes you wonder, like, why didn't they like clone other powerhouses? Like, why didn't they clone Roger? Just get like his corpse from the Logtown execution, you know? I wonder what they did with his body. And it also further makes me think that Weevil is just like a failed clone of Whitebeard, because he's definitely someone that you would want to clone for sure, right? And also I would say clone Joy Boy, but who knows if they can derive DNA from that big straw hat, which I assume belonged to him. We see Kuma helping the Revolutionary Army from time to time, but now he is completely silent, never talking to them at all. Dragon and his other friends knew there must be a reason behind Kuma's behavior. Back to Sorbet Kingdom, Bonnie celebrated her 9th birthday, but Kuma's letters still haven't arrived. Then 1 year passed since Bonnie's surgery ended, so Bonnie was 100% completely healed now. However, Alpha won't let Bonnie get out until her 10th birthday. Connie got information from a local bar. One member of the medical team seemed to let it slip that Alpha and the other medical team members were world government agents. Connie and people from Sorbet Kingdom realized that the situation was very unusual, so they planned Bonnie's escape. The strongest fisherman from Sorbet Kingdom will take Bonnie to sea and help her find Kuma. They remodeled a fisherman ship into a pirate ship and decorate it to look like pizza for Bonnie. It's similar to the jewelry margarita, but I think it's not the same. Ooh, rare opinion from Read-On in here. Connie and Bonnie switched clothes, and Bonnie stepped outside for the first time. Bonnie got past the guards and reached the ship. However, Alpha realized that she was Bonnie and chased after her using Geppo. She says, in case you try to escape, I'm allowed to beat you up and restrain you. At the end of the chapter, Bonnie, in child form, recalled one day when she asked Kuma what Nika looks like. Kuma said, I'm not really sure. All I know is that his body has rubbery quality and that he can fight any way he wants. Bonnie then uses her attack, Distortion Future, and she says, Distortion Future, the future that I become like Nika. In the epic final spread, Bonnie punched Alpha with a giant punch like Luffy's Gear 3. Then Bonnie escapes from Sorbet Kingdom. So that's pretty wild, and it goes into what I was talking about in the beginning. This could be confirming that Bika / Joy Boy was a giant, and I was speculating that maybe he's like a Buccaneer, because all the Buccaneers got wiped out because of some crime that they did, and turns out that Kuma is a Buccaneer, and that the Nika story runs through the Buccaneers, like his dad knew it, and that's how Kuma found out about him. And, the Buccaneers are big, but no, maybe it's not that simple. Maybe it's just that the Buccaneers were allies with the Giants, who Joy Boy was like the king of, I guess, because of course there's tons of other hints out there through Luffy, more so, that Joy Boy was a giant. When he becomes like a giant going against Kaido, and even going way back to, I think it was Eni's lobby. Was that when we first saw Gear 3? Because I remember specifically Luffy was like, this is the fist of a giant. Really epic sequence. And now that Bonnie, using her Distortion Future aspect of her fruit, is requesting to become like Nika, and her punch becomes giant like Luffy's Gear 3. So that makes me think that I guess Nika was a giant, because at least going off of this summary, Kuma never says anything about him being a giant. He just says that he has a rubbery quality, he can fight any way that he wants, which coincides with the Gum Gum fruit, which, of course he was the probably original user of, or the person whose soul or dreams or whatever made the fruit, going back into what Vegapunk was talking about. And also, how does Bonnie's fruit do this? Like, is the fruit tapping into like the Akashic records of history, or like the devil fruit users and the lineage and the magic? Because she could just request that, I want to become the future version where I became like Nika, and it just complies with it. So in theory, I guess she could do the same thing with like Emu, right? And then, I don't know, mimic Emu's abilities? I don't know, maybe I'm going too far, but it makes you think. But anyway, coming into the end of the chapter, the narration says that the world government immediately becomes aware of the hostage, Bonnie's escape. Then her fisherman ship that sails out to find her father soon turns into a pirate ship of the new era, rivaling Luffy and the other pirates from that generation. But this also makes me think that this is like the end of Kuma's flashback, finally. I mean, I'm not mad at it. It's just, it felt like Oda was holding back a lot, Like, we did get some insight into stuff, but at the same time, we didn't, if that makes sense. I'm just really eager to get back to Egghead Island. I mean, it was very emotional, and it, crafted Kuma into one of the most complex characters in the series, bar none, but I just would have liked some more little juicy deets. But maybe I'm asking for too much. There is certainly time for all that stuff to come out. I foresee we have at least another 7 years with this series, if not even more maybe, but that's pretty much it for this one, guys. Let me know what you think about this in the comments, and if you liked it, please give it a like, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.